Hello and welcome to Tremors in Review. I am your host, Mario Rivera, and we did it. We're here. We are doing the Aftershocks episode. I'm so excited. Joining me, I of course have the Graboid hunter himself, drinking coffee, beer, and tea. What are you doing, Michael? What's going on?
I'm actually drinking a Coke Zero right now. I just opened it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, yes, there. Yeah, I'm
Disappears.
good. Yeah, I figured my this room is in the process since I've moved in July into this house. It's been a mess. So I figure why not have a good background,
Sure.
a Graboid.
Yeah,
So,
that's right. Well,
yeah.
I'm excited that you have that because I'm going to miss that thing for sure. So I'm glad we're going to talk about it. Yeah.
Mike, I'm gonna say it. I now I realize what you guys are all laughing at. I didn't even look on the screen towards your camera. Why is everyone laughing at? And I look over when you start talking, like, oh, dude, look at your background. Amazing.
Yes.
And that, of course, is the beautiful man known as the man on my Tinder profile, ISO Cristian. How you doing, Cristian?
Team Robert Pattinson.
All about it.
We're in the rocking the Twilight shirt today.
100%.
Doing well, Mara. How about you? Thank you.
I'm good. Like I said before the show, I've become an old man. I go to work now, and I get very tired, and I sit in my chair, and I don't have a wife, so I'm going to have to learn to get one of those. But other than that, I'm doing just okay. But of course, also following here, he's the man with no team, of course, Jose Ruckus himself. Brandon, how you doing, Brandon?
Man, I have been waiting for this all week, man. I'm super pumped for this.
We had a really great time, I want to say, recording the last one. Just the fact that we got to enjoy Tremors with new people in my life, obviously, having them see why I think that movie's amazing. And now we're going to go to the direct to DVD sequel and see how they feel on this one. So I'm very excited. But of course, we are talking about Tremors 2 Aftershocks. So this is a film directed by S.S. Wilson. He wrote this with Brett Maddock, who are also returning people from the previous one. Ron Underwood, I believe, is producing this one along with their new company, Stampede Entertainment, which obviously is a pun on the end of the last film with Stampede. So that is awesome. Produced by Nancy Roberts and Christopher DeFaria. This movie, again, brings back my man, Fred Ward, with some new people, except one more returning person, Michael Gross as Burt Gummer. So excited.
Spoilers, man.
Spoilers. Burt's also here. But yeah, I this is the sequel that to me is the best in the series of sequels for Tremors. I love this one pretty dearly, and returning back to it, I was actually very excited for everyone else to experience it. And I'm actually going to go ahead and start off with Mike, the Graboid hunter himself. What did you think about Tremors? Because is this the first time you're seeing the sequel?
Yeah, I've never seen Tremors 2. I've only seen Tremors 1 once ever, and that was like 10 years ago. And then now, well, I guess twice now. So, yeah, I actually liked it a lot. I was reading a bit about it. I guess it, like, when they screen tested it or whatever like that, it, like, did positively, and they were thinking about bringing it to theaters, but it didn't end up going to theaters. And that was, like, kind of shocking to me, because I feel like, I mean, it's not like a crazy whatever, like this looks great or whatever, but it does look better than a straight to DVD movie. Like, it doesn't look necessarily like I've seen worse at a movie theater, basically, is what I'm saying. So, I don't know. It was enjoyable. I liked it. It doesn't have, I feel like it doesn't have the same charm as the first one, but there are some good moments in it for sure. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed my time with it for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually kind of shocked that it does what it does for a $4 million production. They originally were going to do a sequel, like grand sequel with Val coming back and Reba McEntire, but they both pulled out because he was not going to do another Worm movie. And so they're like, oh,
He was actually like, they had him almost locked in.
Yes.
He dropped out because of a scheduling conflict with Apollo 13. You know.
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna say Hollow Man.
No.
The second Hollow Man references.
I'll keep on
Mario,
bringing it up every time.
Yeah,
Mario.
Mm-hmm.
I think last week you said you had never seen Apollo 13. Have you rectified that yet?
No, I have no time. You know what? How about this? By the third, okay. I'm trying to think of all the other bad movies I have to watch. I have to watch was it Fantastic Four, and then I get to see the Batman again, so I'm excited for that. No, by next time we do the third movie, I promise I'll watch Apollo 13. I will actively rent it. I now have money now, which is great, so I can actually do things. So I am all about that. But Cristian, this is also your first time experiencing a sequel
Any of them.
to Tremors. So please tell me, what were your thoughts? Were you shocked at what happened in this one specifically? We kind of hinted during the last episode. We tried not to give it away. What are your thoughts on Tremors 2 Aftershocks?
Yeah, first of all, I have the same exact thoughts as Mike, and I'm way surprised by what you said earlier. I did not know this was a direct to DVD sequel because honestly, I like it doesn't look like one. It didn't. You could have told me it was a theatrical release, and I totally would have believed you because for the most part, the cinematography, like, it still looks really great. Obviously, it's a different location from the first one, but like some of those shots still look pretty fantastic. Mike is spot on about the charm. There is something, one big element here like missing, and that is Kevin Bacon. Those two in Tremors 1 were fantastic, and they didn't quite nail it here in the sequel. And much like we said last week, right? Like there's a small, steady decline in quality with each and every sequel. I felt it in this one. That's not to say it also isn't kind of an enjoyable movie, because I think it is as well. So, Tremors 2 Aftershocks. I've been earthquaked. I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially with Val's character not here, and we do get a send off for him in the story, at least very quickly within like a line of dialogue. But of course, he's sort of replaced by Christopher Garden, who plays Grady Hoover, who, in my opinion, is not the worthy replacement.
No.
But over time, I think that I've gone to be more accepting of that character. Really, it's with anything, right? It's with like the prequel series or eventually the sequel series. I know people are going to freak out when I say that. Give it some time. There's going to be people that like grew up with it and sort of like been part of their lives, where it's like they're just going to find acceptance to it. And Grady is that for me now, where it's sort of like it's been so long where I'm like, yeah, I wish Kevin Bacon's character was there, but at the same time, like I have him too. Like wait, it's like you have Nintendo at home. Grady is my Nintendo at home. But like if he popped up, let's just say they make more sequels, right? And then he pops up later, if he's in any of the future sequels, then I'd be like, oh, hey, I know that guy, right? Like, oh, I remember him. He survived the first outbreak of shriekers. But yeah, no, that's all. That's all I'll basically say about that. Brandon,
Can I say?
Yeah, go ahead.
Grady Hoover.
Yes.
I did not watch this with subtitles. I don't know. I guess I pick and choose what movies I watch with subtitles. This one was not. For the first 30 to maybe 45 minutes, I thought his name was Goober, which I think probably fits his character a bit more. And I just called him Goober for the long. All my notes just say Goober, and then I had to go in and fix him. So, fun fact, I guess.
That's hilarious. Brandon, what are your thoughts on returning back to Tremors 2 Aftershocks?
This is a movie I hadn't seen too many times before. I remember it's like you find out Tremors has a sequel, so you watch it and stuff. And like, yeah, it's not as good as the first one and stuff. And but I still think there's a lot of enjoyable stuff here. I think that they did a really good job of like building a sequel, because like the obvious thing is to do what Jaws kept doing, right? And just a shark every time, same deal over and over again. I think it's really clever how they keep the series going on, introducing the Screechers and all that. It is kind of sad, like looking at the behind the scenes stuff for this, and like the movie that we could have got instead, because the reason this ended up being a direct to DVD sequel was because Kevin Bacon had to drop out, Reba McEntire had to drop out, and so the studio wasn't willing to give them that bigger budget to make the movie they wanted to make, and so bunch of scenes got cut out, the effects budget went way down and stuff. And so like incredible what they were able to do, going from like losing essentially $10 million of their budget in their script and having to figure out how to make that work. But yeah, I would have really liked to have, like, if Kevin Bacon just didn't get cast in that movie, man, Tremors might have been a huge deal, you know?
Yeah, because you would have had, I think, majority of the remaining cast that I think everyone loves, right? You have Earl Bassett and, of course, Burt Gummer. But when it comes to the other characters, yeah, Val makes a big impression. I mean, Reba McEntire doesn't have a lot, but she's fucking Reba McEntire, and so to get her in your sequel is probably big. But then I think she ends up moving on doing Reba, the TV show, at this point. But hey, it's totally fine. But yeah, I grew up watching. And this is probably my recollection of it. I think I've watched this movie more than I've watched the original Tremors, primarily because this was on TV all the time when I was a kid. This was on Sci-Fi Channel all the time, and I would just stop and watch it. There was just something about these stupid bipedal like creatures that are also terrifying because they constantly keep getting smarter in weird, dumb ways. I think Grady says it perfectly. It's like they're smart, they're dumb because they're smart, or something like that. And I personally adore the way of this evolution cycle of this creature that is massive, that goes small, and then who knows what else. It's really fascinating to see this creature constantly evolve over time over these movies, and that's why I think I high regard at least the first 3 movies, which I'll refer to them as part of the Stampede series, because there is a certain point where the original creators are no longer working on them. But the Stampede verse, this section of films, yeah, there's just something really charming about Burt Gummer and the world that they build and all the mechanics and how it works. And you understand as a fan how they go through. And then like when you get to later sequels, you're just sort of like, okay, so they only have a certain amount of time before this and blah, 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 blah. So find that very fascinating.
But you get
By the way,
the people really care about the franchise.
Yes.
Like Stampede Entertainment, actually, I don't know if their website's still around, but it used to be that their website was like super hardcore behind the scenes facts, like showing how they did effect shots, how they did it was all just like, here's how we made the movie. Like they really cared about the franchise and stuff, and that definitely goes away once they leave.
Funny you say that. They are, not only is it still around, one of their big Twitter handles follows us, and almost revealed the show early. So I had to tell him to take the tweet down, and we'll be talking to him about potentially the 3rd episode. So we'll go from there. Cristian, did you have something to say? You looked like you had something you wanted to bring up.
No, I was gonna say, yeah, the shriekers are the name of the bipedal.
Yeah.
News. By the way, like when that happens, like I think I'm way more invested in the film than I am like the original, and like I'm excited to hear what you guys have to say about like those creatures, because they're interesting.
Yeah, I'll let Mike. What do you think about the shriekers now that we have a new form of graboids?
Well, Mario, if you want to hop in, we have a podcast within a podcast to do here. If we're going to talk about the shriekers right now.
Let's go. Take us away.
All right. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Gotta Have Them Graboids, the podcast within a podcast where we rate all the monsters from the Tremors franchise. Today, we are talking about the shriekers from Tremors 2 Aftershock. Mike, what do you think about the shriekers?
I liked how they were introduced. Like they had like the giant. Like I guess we're kind of skipping the whole plot thing and just kind of
for now. We'll go back. We'll go
now.
back.
We're just in this little podcast within the bigger podcast.
So there's a moment where they find one of the graboids, and it's got a tummy ache, it seems, and it's like screaming and whatever. And then it's nighttime, and then they hear like this loud screeching noise. And they go up, they check on the graboid that's like had a tummy ache, and then it turns out the tummy ache came out of its tummy, and there's graboid blood everywhere. I really liked how they introduced that, though. I thought it was really cool. I liked the quote unquote goriness, I guess, of it. It was funny.
Yeah.
I like that kind of practical effect of stuff, so it was interesting. And then going to the people who were supposed to save or help them out to bring it back, and they go to the car, it's like all shredded up. It's like anticipating what this thing is like. Oh, this thing must be bigger, this must be a bigger graboid, and then you see it, it's this dumb little bipedal thing, and you're like, oh my god. But it was still like a good moment, because then they like how they multiply and stuff like that, and they seem to be even smarter, and maybe not smarter, but they are able to adapt even quicker than the graboids were. I guess gives them a bit of an edge. I put it in my notes here that it was like it's like a predator and a gremlin like put together. Like that's how I feel about it, and I'm like, that's kind of cool. So now are you asking where would I put it in terms of like graboid?
We'll rank it. Yeah. Where do you rank it compared to the original graboid?
I think the graboid is legendary. Like it's iconic.
Wow.
I don't think, like, sure, who would win? Obviously, the screechers. That's what they're called.
Yeah.
Is that what they're called? Like probably screechers because they hunt in packs. It seems like a lone screecher doesn't seem like much of a threat. But the Graboid's just like a cool, like way cooler looking, and the movie that it's attached to it's just everything that it's attached to and what it introduces. Like it introduces this whole, I guess, universe or whatever. And so I would put that at number 2, but I'd still say it's a pretty strong number 2.
Mike, you're getting too sentimental with these graboids. You're attaching all this kind of extra baggage along with this one creature. We're talking about the creatures alone. The screechers themselves got to be like the scariest freaks I've ever seen in this universe. The fact that they like multiply exponentially alone, I think deserves to be placed at number 1. These things are freaking scary. The predator vision, are you kidding me? The way they screech nonstop. These little freaks I'm like actually afraid of. Of the worms, I think I could like get away from.
Who was the
For the
good
most
worm?
part.
The good worm we put in.
Stubby.
Oh right, yeah, we had Stumpy.
Stumpy.
Yeah.
There is
Yeah,
this movie doesn't have a Stumpy.
No Stumpy. No named screecher.
Yeah, it doesn't have one screecher that's like way better than all the other screechers.
And I thought they were gonna go for it because they had the Graboid with the radio in it, and I thought maybe, oh, okay, here they are going to name this Graboid, and they didn't. So, but yeah.
Cristian, are you going screechers above worms?
I have to. I think
Shriekers,
so.
by the way. Shriekers. It's
Shriekers.
Shriekers.
Shriekers. Yeah.
I
think
just
I'm
want to get
more
that out of
afraid
the
of
way
these.
before comments come at us.
Sure.
Yeah, sure. No, yeah, I think I would. Just by what I said, the fact that they multiply exponentially by just eating whatever, doesn't have to be humans. It could be just like flour, I think was in the movie, right?
Yeah.
And then
Sugar
the way
flour.
they see, and the way they kind of like hunt is a kind of a pack, that group kind of mentality, I think makes them a much like scarier force to deal with.
Mhm.
And then compounded with just the way that the movie does like sound effects with them, like those things. I hate hearing them scream.
Oh yeah.
And then when they started, okay, I'm gonna save my rest of the notes for until like actual plot points. But yeah, I think I would go number 1. The only thing that's
Mario?
missing though,
Yeah.
What's missing? What's missing?
the only thing that's missing that the Graboids did have is that the movie told us that they smell terrible. I wish I knew what
True.
the screechers
True.
smelled
Need
like.
smell
Yeah.
details.
That's
I
true.
I assumed that they smelled the same, so I thought they both smelled terrible.
Yeah.
Assumption. So
Fair enough.
Mario, where are you going? Where are you going?
I mean, you can't defeat the almighty Graboid, but it does have its limitations when it's not on the fact that it is something that is above ground now. There's something for them to worry about that is not just this like sort of unseen force. It's like not only can it be seen, there can be many of them and you don't know where they're coming from. And I do feel that the design, the way that it evolves from sort of this snake-like rhino creature that's underground to this sort of like, man, it's like a Pokemon, it's such a cool like way to evolve itself. And I love that the face keeps somewhat of the design of those bigger creatures.
Yeah.
Man, this is tough because I love Shriekers, and I would absolutely one day when I have more money than I have now, I want to buy one of these freaking amazing designed creatures and just have them in my house because they're so fucking cool. And there's another thing in this movie that I'm gonna wait till we talk about that I want on my wall.
yes.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm gonna have to say Graboid. I'm gonna have to do it. I'm sorry. It just the creature itself is just so much fun, and I just love that damn thing so much.
Okay, so my ranking, I'm gonna agree with Mario and Mike. I gotta go the worms above the shriekers, and I'll tell you why. It's about principle. Okay, in the great debate, alien versus aliens. I'm an alien guy. Okay,
Same.
one alien on the spaceship by itself. The mystery of it. Where's it gonna be? Aliens is great, but it's a bunch of them. It's sort of like lessens the threat, makes it more of an action movie. This movie follows the same principle, and so because of that, I got to go with the alien. I got to go with the original Tremors. It's about the worms.
Yeah, sounds solid.
Respect it.
I'm so happy that Cristian has found love for the Shriekers. That is awesome. That means that this movie holds some sort of weight, and I'm totally about that. So I think we're about time. And thank you for the podcast within a podcast. That was fantastic. all gained our sort of thoughts on it. Let's go break it down scene by scene by doing a little bit of the plot. Again, we're not, so some of us are musical people. I don't know if Mike prepared his guitar or did it. I don't expect him to. That's okay.
Dang it.
Yeah.
It's okay.
You promised, Mike.
If you want to record something extra and then I just insert it here, I'll totally do it, but you don't have to do it. But we'll be getting into the plot of Tremors 2 Aftershocks, which, Cristian, real quick, what do you think of the title treatment of this one?
I didn't like it as much.
Yeah, I mean,
The strata of the first one was like too iconic for me. This is fine, but not as good as the first.
I agree. Well, we begin on an open field with what looks to be a bunch of no, actually that's a little bit later. We open on a field and we hear this man sort of grunting and screaming, like sort of like having a hard time, and we believe we bump into our first character who he's just labeled as oil worker. And so who, if you've not recognized that actor, he's actually been in a bunch of stuff. Like he was in Jurassic Park 2. He's the guy that's eating food while Peter Stormare is getting murdered. It's so great. Anyways, he of course is struggling on this pipe, and we're like, okay, he's having a weird time at his job. That's weird. But then we see the infamous ground moving thing, which of course, if you don't know, it's a buoy underground that they drag. But he's about to get attacked by a graboid. He of course then does a awesome jump around. Go ahead, Cristian.
Which already you can tell there's a difference between the first and the second one, because they immediately, when the ground moved, I'm like, this looks different than the first one. Maybe that speaks to the straight to DVD kind of.
It does. Yeah, it definitely does. And I feel like it was always accompanied with music. This one was sort of like subdued in a lot of ways. I will make it a point about the music. I don't like it. I think
the music is really the only thing that makes this like, that's what stands out, that this isn't a theatrical release. The music sounds cheap.
It does sound super cheap. There's always a bunch of like weird soundy bits to it. There's only one music cue that I enjoy, and I'll talk about it actually in the plot because I think it's part of the plot. But once we get to it, that's one of those things. So this man is jumping on these barrels, and he decides to try to do a little hopscotch and Soleil's floor's lava, which of course, my shit. I'm very excited about that. This is, to me, the best kill of the entire movie. Maybe the best kill in the freaking 3 movies that we're going to talk about, I'm going to say. Where he accidentally falls, and sure enough, a graboid comes out from the ground, and he is fully inside that fucking thing while he's being consumed. Close to, I would say, reminiscent of the Walter Chang one from the last one. Walter Chang being iconic because, if you remember, he started bleeding from the nose randomly, and that was cool. We didn't talk about that specifically in the last one, but this one's awesome. The effect of the graboid still works, in my opinion. It still looks incredible. Whenever you use the practical effects, it just looks magical. It looks like a living creature, especially things you see later. We'll talk about some of the shots of the shriekers later, though.
I'm surprised this is your favorite kill, because there's one definitely in this movie that's like amazing and haunting.
I think I know what you're talking about.
I'm pretty sure I know what you're talking about too.
Yeah,
and I'm excited to get to that as well.
I would still say the one from the first movie of getting ripped through the tire. I still think that's my favorite.
Pretty good. Pretty good. And then you hear him saying no. It's like he's dragged underwater, under the ground. Still pretty great. Now let's go into and see our first place. We're back in Perfection Valley in Nevada. It is a little later than the last time we saw it. The first thing we see is, and we're thinking we're getting another fake out of like him being attacked or something. Of course, it is Earl Bassett, hidden ground with longer hair and all denim.
I love the longer hair, by the way. I think it looks fantastic on him, and like a little bit disheveled, like kind of scruffy on the face. He looks so good.
Yeah, for again, Fred Ward. I adore this man. He's been in 2 favorite movies of mine: Tremors and another movie called Adventures with Remo Williams, which is a movie that I need to revisit because it has a lot of parkour in it at the Statue of Liberty. And he is like a weird superhero in this movie. It's so bizarre. I really got to watch this movie.
Never heard of that.
Yeah, it's called Adventures of Remo Williams. And I'm pretty sure it's like about a secret agent, and he like changes his face to look like Fred Ward. And it's been years since I've seen it. I just know that it's like one of those weird ass one-off movies that deserves a sequel. But yeah, Adventures of Remo Williams. Definitely check it out. Of course, he is not being attacked by a graboid. I'm getting attacked by a cat, by the way. This is the cat cameo that I was referring to before.
Hey.
Of course, he's not attacked by a graboid. In fact, he is being attacked by an ostrich. He has started an ostrich farm as a part of his fame from discovering the first ever living Precambrian life forms, the graboids. And he decided to pick 2 ostriches. I don't know why, but that's the thing that he did. I don't know.
I needed more on this because we're giving like one-liners, like explain why characters are missing or lore bits.
Yes.
The ostrich farm needed a one-liner in my opinion. I needed why ostriches?
Maybe
I mean, I accept
ostriches
it, but why?
big in the 90s. I'm not sure.
He seems to imply that he got like really fucked out of most of his money,
Yeah.
and that like he just thought. Well, actually, so there is a there's a little like I don't know if it's like an Easter egg or whatever, but in like when they go through his like his house and that you see like all the tchotchke shit he has 2 like salt and pepper shakers that are ostriches. And so I like to think that he got like really hammered one night and was like, ostriches, that's it. That's what we're doing.
We all know that Earl Bassett just, someone told him about NFTs and he just had to get into it. He thought he was going to invest all of his money in these NFT ostriches. But of course, he's having trouble there. But then a vehicle pulls up. It is a taxi from Las Vegas.
Hey, wait, hold up.
Yes?
Before we get off the ostriches, I just got to point out one thing from the IMDb trivia. Apparently, ostrich people notice this. I don't because I don't know ostriches. The 2 ostriches that he has are both male ostriches. So he's trying to get them to breed, and they absolutely cannot.
That makes it better, to be honest.
That is incredible. Damn those ostriches. Of course, we are introduced to, I believe, Sir Carlos Ortega, who is our John Hammond of this movie. He is the guy going in to find the experts to sort of officiate his plan, to figure out, is there anything that they can do about this graboid problem? So, along with, of course, we were introduced by Grady Hoover, who is a overzealous graboid fan who, knew exactly where Earl Bassett was and drove him all the way there. I assume this is my assumption from the movie because there's a line of dialogue of Grady saying like, this is the other one. I have the belief that he actually took him to go see Val as well. And they just said no. And that he came and drove him to Earl Bassett.
Yeah.
There's just some weird implication there. But ultimately,
Absolutely, he's dripped out. By the way,
100%.
He's dripped, like fantastic '90s fashion.
That's right.
Those gloves, man.
Gloves, chains, just totally living his best life as the best taxi driver because he's taking him on these long ass trips and doing the best that he can. But of course, Mr. Carlos Ortega tries to talk to Earl Bassett about potentially going down to Mexico because there has been attacks in the oil fields. There's been 6 dead, and they're all attributed to graboids. And immediately, Earl is fucking not having it. It's like, nope. This is goodbye. I will go chill here. Which then, if I'm not mistaken, Grady just sort of like walks into his house at one point and just starts looking around at all his shit. And of course, we see the most awesome thing, a fucking Graboid's video game cabinet, which I want in my life, even though the art on it is ridiculous on it. But I want to know what that game is. I hope it's just the floor is lava, the video game. Please, somebody make that for me.
I love that people keep referencing the video game too. Like it happens like 2 or 3 times.
Yes.
It puts a little bit more sting in Fred Ward's like I don't know lore of like should have got a lawyer.
Should have got a lawyer. Goddamn Ed Boon took his stuff and now he's actually a millionaire. So there's that. Grady, of course, goes over and looks at all of his tchotchkes, all of this stuff, and just sees, just geeking out basically over everything, and talks about how this could be Earl Bassett's great big second chance, because Ortega is offering 50 G's for every graboid that is killed. Now, if we killed just the graboids in the last movie, that would have been $200,000, right? Because there's 4 of them.
In 90s money.
In 90s money,
Yeah,
which is pretty big.
Good point.
Pretty big. Now,
Couldn't even buy a house now with that money.
no, couldn't even bother.
You could buy a house where I live.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Not my area.
Oh, man. But of course, it starts to ruminate inside of Earl's head, the fact that this could make him a ton of money. Grady, of course, is the one instigating this. And eventually, before all that, because this is important, they look at this wall that Earl Bassett has, and has this beautiful picture of this wonderful naked playmate. Which I think it was October 74, if I'm not mistaken. And it's this beautiful moment about the thing that what was it's such a wonderful thing he says. He says, I know what's out there, so I know I can't obtain, or something, like something awesome. But it doesn't matter. Trust me, for some reason this comes back.
I think he says he says something like, I have it hanging up there so that so I know what I can't get or what I can't obtain or something like that.
Yes, exactly.
What a weird, like, sort of poignant thing to put in your direct-to-DVD Tremors sequel.
Yes, which is...
But it ends up working. Come on.
It ends up being...
We'll talk about it later, I'm sure.
The payoff for it is amazing.
The payoff was like, no fucking way. But of course, which is just again, this world is just cosmic and awesome. Earl takes a huge swig of beer, goes back to Ortega and says, "You got a deal." And Grady decides he's coming in too. And somehow they agreed that they're both getting 50 G's per worm. So that's fucking expensive. But hey, why not? Let's do it. This is when we start getting the montage of we're leaving Perfection, Nevada, which, you know, I love Perfection, Nevada. Don't get me wrong. But we're going down to Mexico. And this is the music cue that I think is essential to the movie. When we got
Why he already starts laughing?
Because it goes from like
yeah,
and just like the goofiest transition to like American rock to Hispanic like guitars and all that stuff. So I just thought that was.
By the way, they did us Mexicans dirty with all the Spanish in this movie. It's so funny.
It does not end there. Only Mexican people die in this movie. No white people die in this movie. Only Mexican.
You hate to see
it. You hate to see it.
And I mean, like plot reasons, that makes sense, but
and we'll get to.
I would not survive the film.
Damn, that puts a lot in perspective. But hey, we still got Miguel. All right, we still got Miguel. He survived the first movie, so that's something. So we, as we continue our montage of transferring from America to Mexico, which, by the way, is the same vehicle from the first one. He's rocking the same thing. He now says Earl Bassett's like farm on it or something. So that's cool. I'm happy to have the vehicle back. It's sort of like, it's not as iconic as the Batmobile.
You Batmobile? I was thinking the car from Sam Raimi's movies. You went the Batmobile.
Or the DeLorean. But the Evil Dead car is a good, the Chrysler is a good one. He of course pulls on up, him and Grady all decked out, meets up with Ortega. He meets with Pedro, which we'll talk about later. And then of course, in walks in Dr. Kate Riley, played by Helen Shaver, who I love. She's sort of our Rhonda adjacent in this movie. By the way, real quick, Val, by the way, we didn't mention, he apparently is married and happy and doing just fine.
Sort of implied it's with Rhonda.
It's implied, but it's never said.
I think so.
IMDb even says Rhonda, but like I am not fully convinced with that, even though you would think, but even so.
I wonder why they wouldn't like go and just say it was her, like maybe for like plot reasons, if they ever were able to get him back for like a third movie or something. They wanted, but...
Yeah,
they just said, I think in the movie they just said he married a nice girl.
Yeah, he married a nice girl and then moved on, which was in fact Tammy Lynn Baxter, the lady that he had plastered against his visor. No, I'm kidding. But of course, yes, we meet Kate Riley, who is wonderful, and there's an immediately cosmic relationship going on with her and Fred Ward, like immediately.
Dude. I'm laughing at my notes because I wrote down the name Kate Riley and then in parentheses, Fred seems horny for her. And then like very quickly, you're right, like they're into each other, and I was loving
like
that. Like
they both check out each other's butts, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
So good.
My very first note I wrote was butt shots good.
Yeah.
Equal opportunity butt shots. They're both
Yeah.
checking each other's butts out.
Fred Ward's got a nice donker, and so we're very excited to see that.
Donker.
Straight donker, you know what I'm saying? Actually, so everyone gets to meet. They make the comment, obviously, that Grady is not Val, which is hilarious. And then, we get the scene where the doctor is meeting up with Fred or Earl Bassett. He is now shaving his face after just meeting her, looking fresh as a daisy. They, of course, have a little flirt, looking back and forth, looking at each other's butts, and then they look at maps. And then, we're starting to build that relationship off, and I think it's cute, honestly. I think it's really, really sweet. In comparison to Rhonda LeBeck and Earl and Val's, I find this to be more plausible, given the fact that these are just two adults that clearly know what they want versus a doof-ass kid and a very smart person that's way above his pay grade. That's just my thoughts on Val and Rhonda. Of course, they're interrupted by Grady, who has covered himself in chains and cans, I think is what he did, because they're going to use that to drag that along the car. And it's a real goofy scene. We, of course, then have him walk over, and they find out that they have the seismograph, which is this giant-ass monitor that doesn't seem to plug into anything, and I'm not sure how it's powered. But you know what? I'm not going to ask those questions. They're plugged inside the car. Go ahead.
You're talking about this is like the machine that they're using to like you can see like when a graboid is coming in. It's like that big red. Okay, yeah.
It's just it's like the same thing they use for like earthquakes, right? I don't know anything about those. Like, do they need to are they just like a really sensitive box that like just moves around, or do they need like a battery? I don't know.
I don't know. I don't question these things, but this is clearly I could play Mario Kart on here. If I had an N64 at the point, I could plug that in pretty easily. But yeah, it's sort of a device that shows visually that there's seismic activity, and it literally is like a little worm that crosses the screen, which is cute. Mm-hmm. And they put it in the car. And then now we're going to begin our very first set of montage where Earl and Grady, I was almost said Val, Earl and Grady are going to go out and start graboid hunting. And this is one of my favorite sections of the movie because, immediately they get in touch with the graboid. They start struggling to get to the back. We try to figure out what is going on. And then we see this giant monster truck come over the valley. And we're like, holy shit, they had a budget for a monster truck? No, they did not. It was, in fact, a RC car, which was a Thor monster truck car, which is kind of cool. It has dynamite it's attached to the back of it. And sure enough, it's similar to the plans from the last movie where the graboids eat it. You get to see it actually consume it, which is really cool. Cristian, you had something to say?
Yeah, I have a note here. I don't remember the context for why. I know Grady says it, but I don't remember why. I wrote Dingleberry in the back of your throat. Does anyone remember why Grady says this? I don't
remember. I don't remember why.
Is it the worms? Is it the worms that come out of the mouth? Is that what they're referring to?
No, they're talking about geology. I know that, but I don't know why it brings it up.
That's like a classic geology phrase. They teach you that in college.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah,
100%.
The geologists that were watching, they know.
Thank you for the geologists and the ostrich experts as well for watching this film, letting us know every little details. But of course, he swallows the truck, and they immediately hit this giant stick of things, and they're struggling with it, and they're turning it around, and then, yes, they hit the right Konami code combination, and sure enough, their first graboid explodes, just like the first the movie. And of course, Earl knows what to do in the situation, pulls out a wonderful umbrella, while Grady gets freaking pelted with graboid guts. Absolutely perfect. I love the little gooey that always falls from it, and you just always that one perfect one that lands. So great. Go ahead.
I was gonna say it didn't feel as satisfactory as the first movie because it's not as bright orange. I wanted it to be super bright orange like the first one, and this one it just kind of looks like chunks of mud just fell everywhere. I don't know.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if that's what they did. The shoestring budget for the effects in this is yeah, pretty sad.
Definitely.
No, for sure. Because this is only, you barely see the graboids, in most of the scenes, but the scenes you do see them are pretty impactful. But it's
Yeah.
mostly off-screen kills
Yeah.
for most of
I
it.
think it's just 'cause they already had those puppets, right? Like they
Yeah.
didn't have to like remake that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is quite honestly perfect. Of course, that then begins the montage of fun where there's constantly exploding different graboids from different areas and doing fun things. Yep.
This is where I really questioned the genre of these movies as horror, because none of this to me is horrifying. It feels more like action comedy-esque than anything. More like like super campy, right?
Yes. No, 100%. And honestly, I think that Tremors is one of those series that honestly bridges those lines in the same way that I would say a Scream movie does, or even like Shaun of the Dead, in a way where it's like, yes, this is a horror movie, but there's comedy elements to it. These are characters that are likable. There's romance. There's all these things. There's action in them. You end up getting a nice smorgasbord of different genres, but they all sort of coexist in this world. And I think that for everyone that I've seen so far gets to have a fun balance of that. So
Sure.
yeah, for sure. I agree. The horror aspect is the fact that these are monsters that we do not understand, and there's a little inherent scare of that. And once you kind of get over, that we know what the deal is, but then the movies keep up in the ante of like, well, now
Yeah.
what? Now what with this?
Like the first movie has those sort of like they're not that scary, but just like they just find a dead body up on a pole and stuff, and that's kind of like tension gets racked up and stuff. And
Sure.
I think this is really like Alien to Aliens, where it's like there's just gonna be a lot of them. We're gonna be blowing stuff up, and people are gonna be saying funny lines.
Yes. 100%.
There's one scene that's really good. We kind of mentioned earlier, but yeah, I'm really excited to talk about it. That really gets into like that horror kind of.
Yeah.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yes, 100%. And a lot more Jurassic Park references. So we go through, we're having this fun little montage. And of course, at one point, our heroes are resting on a residual boulder and they have a radio playing on the ground. And sure enough, Graboid eats the radio. Earl immediately yells out, "You put a radio on the ground? Like, why would you do that?" To be honest, I don't know why you're playing the radio at all. Given the fact that it looks like you're trying to enjoy your lunch of some sort. But hey, it is what it is.
He's safe on the boulder.
True. They are safe on the boulder. Then I think we're still sort of like in this part of the movie where they're still hunting. They are about to attack another one, or they attack another one, it blows up. They're counting their winnings, right? They're racking up points. They're getting about 300 G's a piece. Pretty impressive, not going to lie. Pretty impressive.
Yes.
Don't have to do, that's probably a bunch of ostriches that he could buy. And hopefully he finds a female one. But in the meantime, Grady, I think, is that, yes, Grady's actually talking about Monster World, where he talks about this idea of like, we need to think bigger, right? We need to think about, I'm not emphasizing this section at all. We need to think bigger. The idea of this theme park.
Does this happen?
I will not say a word. Anyways, we're going to go moving forward.
If it were real, would you go?
No, absolutely not.
No.
If they have real graboids, no, I will not go.
No.
Like, I don't trust that shit. I've seen Jurassic Park. There's no fucking way I'm doing it. But if they're
I'm
like simulated
scared.
rides, maybe.
I'm a very scared boy. Like I don't like haunted houses. I don't like any of that stuff. Like
Yeah.
it just no, not for me.
No, but if Universal had a graboid ride, I would 100% be on it. That'd be awesome. Like I'd be in the truck while it's dragging me. That'd be really fun. Otherwise,
Speaking of,
exactly, the first ride that would be at that theme park, Grady being sort of nonchalant because his umbrella rolls off. So get off the ground, which is a common phrase said by Earl Bassett in this movie. Immediately, awesome graboid pumps right through the ground, scaring Grady. They gets on the truck, and of course, the truck is now being pulled by the chain that Grady, of course, developed for them. And it begins this really fun, just sort of like pull game of this car being dragged backwards, and Earl, struggling to get to the front, trying to reverse, not being able to do it, and just wacky stuff ensues. What do you guys think of this scene specifically? Cristian, go ahead.
Yeah, I immediately wanted to know, and I forgot to research it, like how they shot it, because I think this is probably one of like the coolest shots of the movie,
Mhm.
because the truck is driving in reverse, and you have this chain that's like causing all these effects like in the actual ground,
Yeah.
and it looks really cool. For the most part, it looks like maybe it's stunt doubles, maybe it's like the actual actors, but like it seems like most of it is done practically,
Mhm.
and I'm very curious to know how they did it because it looks fantastic.
Yeah, this is. I mean, this is probably one of the higher points in the movie where there is sort of this fun adventure scene happening with the Graboid dragging this chain, and again, it's a lot of was it don't show right because you're not seeing a Graboid pull a chain, you're just seeing a chain being pulled. I assume they have some rigging similar to probably when they're dragging the way that they accomplish the ground moving is they put a buoy underground, and then they're pulling on the wire underneath it. I'm
Mm.
wonder if it's a very similar thing just with the car. It is going pretty fast to be honest, which is kind of pretty cool. But yeah, any other thoughts on anybody thinking about the scene?
I just think I like what they're doing with this entire like segment of the movie. It's just
Mhm.
like get you back into it, get you familiar with, back in what we were doing with the first one, adding on stuff like new stuff for the worms to do. I think
Mhm.
it's really cool.
And to be honest, adding a little danger, right? Because at this moment we're like, oh, they got this in the bag. They're doing all the things they need to do,
Right.
and
Yeah.
there's no need for us to be worried about these people. Wrong. No, we forgot these worms are smart sometimes, and so they are doing some silly things,
I
even though they have a radio inside them. Yeah.
I was gonna say, I think this was also the time where they like started playing like flamenco music while this was happening, right? And
Mm.
like you were saying, like it's introducing danger, but also it's playing this goofy music while it's happening.
Yes,
So it
it
doesn't really,
is.
it doesn't feel like they're really in danger, and
No,
it's almost mostly just because of the music. If they had
it
done some
is.
like a different
Yeah.
music selection, it could have been like a little bit more tension, but because of the music selection in some of the scenes, and in this one in particular, like it never feels like anyone is ever in danger
Okay,
until the actual like horror set
You're not
piece.
wrong, to be honest.
you say this, but I swear because I had no like actual attachment to Grady at this point because he was a new character. I feel like
Mhm.
every time he was on the floor, he was in some kind of danger. Especially with
Yeah,
Earl repeatedly saying,
true.
"Get off the ground." I'm like, "Damn, is this guy gonna die like in one of these scenes?"
Yeah. Well, there's
But you,
also
you
like the
you're right.
not knowing what the movie's gonna be, right? Because now when you look back, it's like obviously this movie's about focusing on a different monster, so like they're gonna punk out the worms pretty easily and stuff. But when you're
Mhm.
watching it for the first time, I remember watching it for the first time, not knowing that they were gonna turn into the shriekers, and just being like, "What's the movie gonna be? Like, is eventually gonna get to the point where the worms are fucking them up, or like what's gonna happen?"
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, or in the same sense of like aliens, right? There's just going to be a bunch of them, which we'll get to that just now. So, the worm is dragging them to a cliff, which is again a reference to the first one. But this one's too smart, or it's not being scared by an explosion. So it turns around and they proceed to be dragged yet again up until they find yet again another residual boulder, and the chain snaps off. They land on top of the boulder. Immediately they look at the seismograph and they see that not only is there not just one more graboid out there, there's at least like 12 of those sons of bitches just running around in that like awesome scene of like them coming in, which is very aliens, which I was very appreciated. And they're gonna need some goddamn help. And you know who they fucking call? They call my man,
The man.
Mr. Burt Gummer himself, arm specialist.
Fuck yeah.
Yes.
And that, dude, that shot of the wall and that slow pan over to him
Oof.
sitting is like so fantastic. Like I almost got like a little bit excited, being like, "Oh my god, this is happening. We're
Yeah.
getting more."
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're getting more Burt, more weapons. Which of course, yes, as Cristian pointed out, we get to see the back in Perfection Valley. We see the wall with all the guns from the last movie. It is panning out. Now, I gotta say, the geography of this wall doesn't make sense to me. And I don't know if he just did some remodeling in this time because there's the wall of the guns. There's the clear cutout hole in which the monster burst through. And then there's the other side of the wall, which we'll get to that in a second. But my recollection was the guns were here, and then over here was the hole. But for some reason,
Yes.
the room is shifted. I don't know if that was a mistake or if the funny editing or whatever, but I don't know. I'm a little confused by the layout of the room, but that's or here or there. we of course we see Burt Gummer, and is he all happy in rainbows and loves reloading a gun? No, he's like eating chips in his underwear, watching TV, probably watching Nick at Night. Who knows?
No, he was just watching War.
Yeah.
That's right. War of a bygone era. And he gets a phone call, and the phone call, of course, is Earl Bassett, and he's checking in on him. It sounds like they haven't heard from each other for a while, and he, I believe, asks him about his wife Heather, and of course tells a story about how she's staying with her sister. And
I love this bit.
It's so funny.
Or he since the Soviet Union collapse, he just doesn't know what to do with himself. He's like, "How can you say that to a man?"
Oh, so good. And of course, that begins yet another slow pan behind him, where we get to see, I think he's killed some elk or some sort. But then you see the giant Graboid head that is clearly from the last movie that he must have cut out and stuffed and mounted and posed, because you have the things are posed too. And it's incredible. And I want that on my wall so badly in my future mansion that I will never have.
Would you want the replica like size, like that big? Or would you want something
Yeah,
more modest?
Definitely.
I have to. I'm going to have to do it. Like, I'm going to get one of those giant elk lodges, and I'm just going to put it right in the dead center.
Jesus.
Right above the fireplace. This giant fucking Graboid face. Yeah, I laughed hard watching it again, even though I knew it was coming. I love how silly it looks of him sitting there and his lazy. I was laying in the lazy boy with him, watching this movie. And of course, the best piece of acting in this whole movie happens as well, because Earl's like, I need you out here. I need to help you. I need your help. We got more of them, more Graboids. And then the reaction shot of Earl is hilarious. And I will use it as a GIF forever, where they just cut to him just like that. And
then the hard cut. The hard cut back to Mexico.
What just makes you assume that he said no. But then they go back. We're back in Mexico. Everyone's sort of chilling in the sort of like office area. I forgot what they're talking about, other than Helen is looking at this like fossil that they found. They just bring up this fossil. And it turns out the fossil may be one of the pedal things that the Graboids have that help them go through the dirt. And we learn the sad fact for some people, that these are Precambrian life forms, which means that they are in fact Earth-made. They are human. They are not human. They are from this planet, and that makes
older than dinosaurs.
Older than dinosaurs.
Yes.
Makes Earl a little sad because he thought they were from outer space. But that gives you sort of an answer as to some of their origins. And I find that interesting. And again, it just keeps adding to the lore. What is your response to the knowing of the origins of these things?
Okay, correct me. Earl was the one who thought it was like an alien creature, right?
That is correct.
Yeah.
What did I say last week? What did I think they were? Does anyone remember?
I thought you said they were potentially aliens.
I think you were on the alien train.
Damn.
I think I also wanted them to be aliens as well. Last week I think I said that too.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well,
because with them being Precambrian, I have more questions than anything. Like,
exactly. That's my problem.
How long have they been there?
Yeah.
How has nobody? Why are they just showing up now if they've been around forever? Why does nobody know that they exist? Because it's not like they eat regular stuff, like they're carnivores, right? Well, I guess they're not. Yeah. They're omnivores, but like somebody would have noticed these giant worms in the ground. Like, I guess it's in the desert, but still, like, I mean, they're showing up in places where people are.
True.
And then like, they make babies and stuff, right? Too, like, and those grow exponentially. Why isn't the Earth overrun with these freaking things? I need answers.
Okay, when you get into movies that we're not even gonna cover, like they show up in Africa, man. It's not even like they're only in like North America. Like they're everywhere.
Yeah, they're everywhere. I have a theory, but I don't know. I don't remember if the third one gets into it. But well, once we get into that one, because that's going to be the one that I think it completes our trilogy really in a lot of ways. Then there are the others that do expand even more on certain things. But I would say, in terms of my idea for them, I always believed that they were something that like could only last a certain amount of time before they have to go dormant in a lot of ways. Because as we'll discover later, there's more to the cycle. But yeah, we'll talk about that probably closer to 3, and then we'll go in and have our in-depth discussion of the life cycle of these things for sure. Which of course this begins the little tremor, if you will, of the building, because the thing's shaking like crazy. Oh no, this must be like a huge graboid. It's something we've not seen, something that they're going to name later. No, it is not. It is in fact Mr. Burt Gummer. With the biggest fucking truck I've ever seen, driving down the road. Of course, everyone's excited to see Burt. Burt is overprepared. Brandon, do you have something to say about Burt?
I just love Burt, man. Like every time, I just love this dude, man. Like in many ways, I wish I could be Burt, but in many ways, I wish I wasn't. As much Burt as I am. So, yeah, I just love the dude.
No, I love the dude. By the way, the one thing we didn't mention last episode as well was the actor played by Michael Gross. Originally was known for being the father on Family Ties, which he played a anti-war hippie. Which he's sort of like a leftist, and his son is like a more of a Republican.
In real life, Michael Gross is a pretty hardcore leftist.
He's a pretty hardcore leftist. So for him to be sort of a clearly pro NRA war dude.
Oh no! This movie has some bad implications for Burt. When they do the shot of his wall, there's a copy of he's on the cover of Soldier of Fortune magazine. Don't look up that magazine if you want to like Burt a lot.
Okay, now I'm curious.
I mean,
on my own time.
Yeah, it's not a good magazine.
Not a good magazine. I love, though, that, of course, Reba McEntire is posing in that photo as well. So I'm glad that they were able to do that. So that's really cool.
Question for Brandon and Mario real quick.
Yeah.
You guys have your finger on the pulse, in the Tremors world.
Yeah.
Burt, fan favorite, would you say?
Yeah.
Absolutely, right?
100%.
Gotta be.
100%. And we'll definitely talk about it in the third movie, for sure.
I mean... Yeah, he is.
He is 100%.
He's the star.
I'll cut the shit right now. He is in every Tremors movie.
He is the only person who is in every Tremors movie. Well, okay, Michael Gross is in every Tremors movie. The character Burt is not. Because one of them takes place in the Old West, and it stars Burt's ancestor, who's played by Michael Gross.
Bro, what the fuck is going on?
That, by the way, might be the last of the original Tremorverse. We're gonna hold off on that one because it is a past movie. But yeah,
they cast Michael Gross as an action star. It's the only time he ever gets to be an action star. He is like signing up for every Tremors movie.
Yes,
incredible.
I love him so much. So yes, not only is he a series favorite, he is the series as far as I'm fucking concerned. So yes, but are there other returning faces in the series? You're just gonna have to find out. Earl, of course, shows up with his big ass truck. He go ahead and talks about all of the fucking bombs in C4 and all this awesome shit he has in his truck. He, of course, shows Earl and Grady their new guns, which are these giant-ass elephant guns, which you remember in the last movie. He had a giant elephant gun as well. And he's joining in. He's fully stocked. There's a great scene where they meet out in the field, and they're about to disembark and go more graboid hunting. And of course, he talks about a big important element of the movie, MREs, this is the first time I've ever heard of MREs in my life.
Oh, really?
This is the movie that introduced me to it. Not now, obviously.
Oh, gotcha.
This is the first movie that introduced me to them.
Okay.
And of course, I never heard about them before. But yeah, meals ready to eat. I love quoting Burt. He's my favorite character. But yes,
go buy yourself some MREs, man. It's good to have a couple MREs around.
I got dozens of them. Yes, Cristian.
I can't believe I can't believe you skipped what is arguably one of the best scenes of this movie, which
Oh,
is
no.
Burt pulling Earl aside and having like a man-to-man, like
I'm
earnest
sorry.
conversation and
I am
saying,
so sorry.
"Yes, Heather left me." And to that, like, I was surprised at how much that actually emotionally impacted me during the movie. I was like, damn, that kind of hurts. Like, those two seem like, if ever there was a couple that was two peas in a pod, it's them, right?
Yeah.
So to hear that she has left him, like, I really want to know what happened between them. Because I like them so much together.
No, I agree. And you know what? The collapse of the Soviet Union was a big problem for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
that definitely equated to...
She was able to move on. He
Yeah.
wasn't.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And I will say, I mean, I love that there's a line in there too where he talks about he has to give up one of his guns because she requests it to take it. I think that's definitely passing. I mean,
That's how he knew.
it's a sign of them moving on, if he did it. So good for him, but still. It is sad. It is definitely one of the more sadder elements, which of course explains why he's like so gung ho to do this, because A, it's something to do because he's clearly not doing anything, and B, a shit ton of money. And he gets to get whatever he wants. He got a giant truck full of explosives. And
When he gets the artillery shell, he's
Yes.
like, that might end up in my personal collection.
He's got that great line too. He's like, you have the Mexican military funding, and all you get is like a crate full of dynamite.
yeah, what
Like, yeah,
kind of
he's right. He's
dynamite?
right. Yeah.
So right. We get to talk about the MREs, talks about everything about it. Earl eats it, and he ends up eating the toilet paper part of it, which, again, okay, real quick, hold on. We're podcast with a podcast where someone explains to me, what the hell are MREs and how do you eat them? And has anyone tried one? Have any of y'all tried an MRE?
I've had MREs before.
Please
A
tell
long
okay.
a long time ago.
Can you explain the
Wow.
toilet paper portion of it and what that is all about? What's going on there?
So like a military issue like MRE it's not just food normally. Like
Okay.
normally it is like also like a supply drop or whatever. So yeah, like there'll be toilet paper in there, there'll be other stuff in there.
Got it.
They are like essentially just like dehydrated food or whatever, and there's like a chemical packet that you use that like gets super super hot and cooks it.
Gotcha.
And some of them taste better than others. None of them taste great, but if you want to buy a bunch of food that will last like 10 years in bulk,
You
it's
know
not
what?
a terrible idea.
All right. By the next time we record episode 3, I'm gonna look on Amazon to see if they have an MRE.
I'm on
Amazon-
it right now.
Amazon has this great thing. It's like a 5-gallon bucket that's like shoved with MREs and like other like
my
really quick
God.
supplies and stuff. Just buy one of those, buy a pallet of water. You never have to worry about a national emergency.
Fucking A. All right.
2 buckets for $180.
$180.
Almost
deal.
300 servings.
Holy
deal.
shit. Okay. Oh man. Well, I'll consider it. I was thinking about buying one of those packs, but a
The
bucket.
flavor of this tub is Parmesan.
Flavor is Parmesan.
Oh my god. If I order this, I'm stashing it at Michael's house. There's no fucking way I'll be able to put it up in my
Yeah.
apartment here. Of course, then they separate ways. We see the first of Burt, and how he is going to handle these graboids. Of course, his vehicle of choice is not a monster truck. It is, in fact, a tank. And he is not using dynamite. He's using 4 packs of C4. And he's recording himself. He's an early vlogger. He's recording himself every step of the way, which I do appreciate as someone who works in video. And sure enough, someone eats that damn tank and does one of the loudest explosions in the movie, and one of the best folly noises of the rock hitting his hat and vehicle. Such an awesome scene. He calls Earl and Grady. They hear it clear all the way over there, and they're cleaning off their car with all this like gunk of the stuff that they exploded. And I believe, and this is where we learned where Burt has actually also killed the radio Graboid as well. Which, rest in peace, Radio Graboid. Which, hey, I guess we have a name for you, even though no one gave it to you in the movie.
This is also when he's competing with them, right?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
He just arrived and he's already up to like the same amount of kill count that Earl and I'm gonna call him Goober are at, right?
Goober, yes, 100%.
Great way to make sure you know that the character is a badass, right? He shows up and he's already like in a couple hours done what it took them a couple days to do.
You're right.
No, 100%. I love he said he had like a 3-pack at one point where he killed 3 of them at the same time. I love you, Burt. Please continue to make these movies. But of course, don't forget, he was also on the TV show. There was also a TV show about this as well. He is the best. We, of course, are Earl and Grady are following yet another Graboid. However, the Graboid's not running towards them. It's running away. And they're very concerned about this. So they're driving. They're diligently going through around this cliff area. And then all of a sudden, a giant-ass Graboid comes out of the ground, mostly submerged over the ground, which is pretty incredible to see, lands on top of the truck. They drive backwards. They actually fall sideways, so now they're stuck between a rock and a hard place. This thing starts screaming while Earl and Grady are freaking out. Grady being the first person to sort of kind of figure out that something's wrong. Earl, of course, is just trying to get the guns. Grady grabs one of the RC trucks. They go on top of a rock, and they monitor this thing. They throw the thing. They have the RC truck bump into it a bunch of times. And something really odd is going on with this worm. It sounds like it, according to Mike, has indigestion.
Yes.
Yes.
And there's something clearly going on. Again, let's talk about the Graboid's design and the fact that we get to see a lot of it in here. Oh my God, this thing looks awesome. To me, the closest thing I can compare this thing to is the Triceratops from the Jurassic Park movie, where it's sort of laying on its side and sort of sick, right? Sort of eating the poison.
Yeah.
We see this beautiful design that oh my God, what was the name of the company again?
Amalgamated Dynamics.
And it just looks real. It looks like it's a living, breathing creature. It's very sticky and gross. Cristian, go ahead.
When I was in geology, back when I thought that was going to be my major, I had this class, and we used to have this thing called the Beast of the Day every time we were in class. Make sure we were going to class, we would share a Beast of the Day. And one of them was a micro beast, this micro creature called a tardigrade, which can survive in space, can survive insane environments. I want you to Google tardigrade, and every time I see a Graboid, this is kind of what I think of.
Tardigrade. I'm gonna go ahead.
Oh yeah, these things.
Oh
Yeah, these things are weird.
Ew.
It's got
the hands
hands.
obviously aren't
The water
the same,
bears,
right? Yeah, the water bears, sure,
Ooh.
yeah. But the kind of the face and the shape of the whole body, this is when I see a Graboid, I kind of go towards tardigrades.
I'm
I
gonna
wonder
go
if
ahead.
this is inspiration for them.
I'm gonna window
Because I can
capture.
see it.
I can see it too. Oh, there it is. Oh, it's on the screen now for everyone watching us. That is special. That is a thing of glory. Okay. Yeah, well, that's gonna haunt my nightmares for the rest of the night, so thank you. Maybe I will not go see a horror movie tonight. Who knows? Oh, let me get off my screen so I can stop looking at it.
This tardigrade.
Just tardigrade. Just hey, what's up? Yes. So of course this beautiful Graboid, which again, a lovely design.
Oh my God, Mike. Amazing.
That's the photo I used, which is hilarious. I love it. Great. Nightmares ensue. To me, that just looks like a toy of some sort, and I know that's all I'm gonna end there. That's the sentence ends there.
Move on, bro. Oh my God.
Grady and Earl decide that they need to call for help, obviously for Pedro to come pick them up. I'm closing my eyes. I'm not trying to look at it. They are this show's great. They are
Never mind.
They keep talking about the other. Yeah, okay, cool. They caught a live one. It's going to be 100 G's each. It's going to be fantastic, and they're excited. Of course, they a little later in the night. Earl calls Burt, of course, bragging about all the things that he's done, talking about the radio one, I think, at this point. And then they say, they caught a live one. You caught a live one. Damn right they did. Take that, Burt. And then the night goes by, and there's a false night, too. It's blue. It looks a little weird in one shot. Oh, fuck. One thing I missed, and this is because it was in the montage. those poor coyotes got murdered.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's right.
yeah.
Yeah.
The poor coyotes, and of course that giant ass moon that is just unrealistically cool looking. Also an awesome shot. So it is nighttime, and they're still waiting on, I believe it's Pedro. Pedro is just nowhere to be found. The creature's crying its eyes out, just like screaming at it. And
This is my favorite. It gotta be like my top 3 scenes of the movie. Like
So-
the audio
Definitely.
alone in this,
Yes.
like this is horrifying. Listening to that thing just scream in agony.
Mm-hmm. And even Grady starts like, oh, you should start. Do you feel bad about it? Like the fact that it's something's possibly eating it or something like that. And Earl, without a beat, like, no, no, I've seen it kill too many of my friends. No, not at all. I believe at this point, do they see Pedro not moving, or they go investigate? Do you guys remember?
They go
Yeah, they
to
see the truck.
investigate, don't they? Yeah, they see the truck, and then they decide to like go down at some point. Oh, they go up to the thing. They see that like it's
Okay,
whatever.
got it.
It's all
got it.
destroyed. The
Yes.
the whatever the
No,
graboid.
the graboid. Yeah, so the graboid stops screaming, and they're like wondering what's going on. They go to take a look at it, and sure enough, it is fucking gross. Something has burrowed its way out. 3 different sacks of something have burrowed their way out.
You mean the Grabussies?
The grab the grab bussies are busted wide open in this scene. I'm trying to make you laugh while you're drinking. I'm trying to make you laugh while you're drinking.
Fuck you.
Of course. Scariest scene in the movie.
Right.
But yes, they're like, what the fuck now? They've now done something that is totally we've not seen before in the last movie, and now we're on new territory. We're feeling the aftershock, and we see Pedro's truck go. Exactly, we see Pedro's truck move in the distance and then randomly stop. And Earl and Grady are sitting on top of the car, and they do just a transition to dissolve. And it's a little bit later in time. It's like Pedro might be taking the longest piss in the world. They decide we got to do something, right? So they have the seismograph. Let's go out there and walk for it. And Errol's like, "Fuck no, I'm not doing that." Cut to they're walking, they're walking the field. Grady's holds all this weapons and armor, like all these bullets and shit like that. And he's like, "Earl, you could hold one of these." And he's like, "I got what I want." And he's holding the seismograph. Again, does it need to be plugged in? Does it need batteries? I don't know how that works.
It just works.
Just works. They get closer to the truck, and that's when we see the truck is kind of disheveled and broken. Looks like it was like sort of chomped on. And we're immediately getting like, uh-oh, this is like some Jurassic Park vibes of like raptor attacks or something. This is wild. Cut to, obviously, we see some hands hanging from something. And we're like, oh, here's Pedro. They walk behind the truck. Pedro's missing, baby. Those are just Pedro's hands. That's what's left of that poor boy. Second kill of the movie, actually.
That was a very good. This entire part is, in my mind, the best part of the movie.
No.
Like the entire night part is the best part of the movie for sure.
It's like Sattler finding Samuel L. Jackson in Jurassic Park, right? You can so tell that this movie was filmed the year after Jurassic Park. They were just like, us too, right? Like,
Yeah.
that movie rules.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, fun note, we didn't comment this on the last movie, but the little girl Mindy is the little girl from Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Yep.
She is her.
Oh,
Yeah. Same lady. Which I was very remiss that I forgot to say that last time. But yes, there's a lot of Steven Spielberg DNA in this film. And all the Tremor movies, to be honest. So, okay, well, what's next? Of course, Earl and Grady are going along trying to figure out something. At the same time, Burt is also traveling around in his truck, sort of commenting on all these things. He was chasing somebody, chasing a for the seismo, but he just all of a sudden disappeared. Wondering what the hell is going on. Not necessarily. We'll cut back to Burt in just a second. Earl and Grady find, I believe, the radio tower cut to shit, like totally destroyed, chomped up, totally messed up. That's why the radios are no longer working. They are absolutely terrified. And then they hear some noises, and they find a car. Well, they find the car first, but then they hear some noises. And we're expecting something big. We're expecting something large. Have you seen these fucking graboids? They are massive monsters, but now they're on the ground, and that's terrifying. And of course, there's that great scene where they are both holding their elephant guns, and they're slowly just tilting them up, expecting it to be one of the biggest things. And I love how the camera is this far wide out. There's a lot of, for a straight to video movie, there's a lot of attention to detail that I think this movie does so well.
This is what I'm saying. Like, if you would have told me it was a theatrical release, I would have believed you, because it's shot really well.
Yeah, 100%. And then you just get this little fucker come from off the right of screen. And now we are introduced to the Shriekers, which we'll talk more about what they do later. But Shrieker shows up. Freaking little bit. Yes!
You're ready.
Yes! He was ready to go. Love these little bastards. Of course.
Immediately, I thought of like RoboCop when like I forget, I think it's like superimposition with some kind of effect. I don't know what kind of effect it is, but like clearly it's not actually on screen or any kind of practical effect. It's like something else, like superimposed.
Yeah, like a screen.
That happens in,
yeah.
No,
Absolutely. That actually happens in Tremors. There's that scene where there's a Burt stand-in, and then the thing bursts through the wall. It's the same effect. But yeah, no. Yeah, we see this little bastard who's an awesome puppet, by the way. I love how these puppets look. They're so cool.
The like intro of it where it like flares up its thing
Yes.
definitely was very Jurassic Park.
Very Jurassic Park. Which, by the way, Mike, did you say you were watching these with Amber? Did Amber watch this with you?
She didn't. She had to go dress shopping for like a wedding.
Will you watch this again with her so she can catch her?
that's her loss, man.
I mean, she'll probably just end up watching Tremors 3. So
don't explain the Shriekers whatsoever. Then that'd be hilarious.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. So yes, the thing does the heat sinking. Well, we don't know what it is yet. It just does this and runs at them, and so they expect that it can see them. They start shooting with the elephant guns, missing horribly, except for the last final shot. And sure enough, it takes the sucker out. They talk about potentially taking that home with them. And then they hear that there's way more of them. And so they hotwire the car, get out of Dodge. They drive off into the night for seemingly a very long time. I have no idea how far they are from the actual base, but they're gone for the rest of the morning. While that's happening, real quick, you see three Shriekers, but if you look very closely, you can see the wires that is controlling them and the ground.
Is this because you saw it in 4K?
No, I did not see it in 4K. There's not a 4K release to straight to DVD.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
I just bought the Blu-ray version of this DVD that I have. I got this DVD as a gift from my friend Max, but I wanted it in 4K, so I bought it again in 4K. So not 4K, Blu-ray. So yeah, I'm very excited to watch that later. Because you know what the other story is, I didn't own this movie. I have it obviously on DVD, but I wanted to stream it. I didn't want to pop sorry Max, I didn't want to pop the DVD quality disc into my Xbox, and so I bought it on Amazon for $14.
That's amazing.
I love this series. Anyways, my Venmo is that Mario Rivera. Anyways, that's a joke. Don't do anything. We cut to Earl. This is all memory, by the way. I haven't looked at the IMDb, the Wikipedia.
Are you
once.
serious?
This is all from memory. I did not look at the IMDb once, because it's differently worded and they cut shit and all that stuff. I'm going scene by scene. I got the fucking mind of Greg Miller. Trust me. When we cut to Earl. No, fuck me. Burt, of course, is in his truck. He's looking at maps and stuff like that. And he looks away from the map, and what is there? Fucking Shriekers. A lot of them. And that's the last we see of Burt. I'm sorry. We drive now. It's morning now all of a sudden. And we're going back to Kate Riley. And she's freaking out. She's been on the radio. You know, we're trying to figure out what's going on. Of course, my man Julio, which we didn't really discuss a lot about, but Julio's around. This is probably the scene that a lot of us have been waiting to get to.
Yes.
Yep.
So Julio, this scene is a little staged, a little weird, but there's a reason. There's a reason why it's staged that way. So Julio comes popping out of a window, just scares Kate, and just like, hey, have you been able? The radios are down. What's going on? Like, and they're having this like conversation, you know, trying to figure it out. And he's like, okay, I'm gonna go do this. You're gonna do, and then he just fucking grabs onto her and just starts fucking going nuts. And you're like, what the hell's going on? And then Kate looks out the window, and you see that he's just being shredded by these fucking shriekers. And he is putting the performance of a fucking lifetime into this one scene. And I'm gonna let y'all talk about it because this scene's pretty awesome.
I watched it 3 times. I had to because the horror first of like, spooking. What's her name? Kate.
Yeah, Kate.
Of scaring Kate, right? Because there's that initial shock, right? But then there's the shock of the viewer like switching camera and just seeing this like mauled leg, almost missing at this point from like one attack by a shrieker. That was so terrifying, and then it goes back up to Julio and Kate, and like just Julio's like ghostly face at the realization that he's dead at this point. And I watched it over and over again. It was fantastic.
Yeah, there's that incredible shot where he like goes to the side of the wall and just like shakes for a minute, and absolutely the goriest action done to a human, I would say, even though we did see a man getting developed by a Graboid, but this is still like the goriest thing in terms of like raw flesh being cut. And yeah, it's effective. This Julio death has stuck with me for years because it's just like this man, and you hear him screaming later, and you don't see him dying, but you know something terrible is happening to him. The only people that see his body is Grady and Earl, actually. Which is very visceral. Is any other notes about the scene before I continue?
Again, just to kind of comment on it, is just that I like how they, like in the first movie, how they developed the threat of the Graboid. I like how they do the same thing here with the Shrieker, like doing it at nighttime. It's like that same thing where they did in the first movie, where at nighttime there was that whole thing with the doctor, and they got the thing, took the car, and it's like, oh, what are these things? You don't even know what they look like at that point, I think.
Yes.
But then it's like the same thing here. I mean, we do know what they look like, but it's like that whole nighttime scene, then plus this, like, just destroying this dude. Like, it really, they really develop like how much of a threat this thing is in a good amount of time. Again, in a movie that only is 90 minutes. So
yeah, it's a very short movie.
Yeah, they do it pretty effectively. I really enjoy that for sure.
No, fantastic. This, of course, is terrifying Kate, who is freaking the fuck out, respectively. And she goes and knocks a bunch of stuff over and hides in the corner, which, I mean, what else can you do at this point? She's terrified. Julio is screaming until eventually he is not, which is very, very good. You hear a car pull up, and of course it is Earl and Grady. You don't see him, but they shoot the thing. And they end up running into the building and greeting Kate, tell what happened, tell him obviously Pedro is also dead. You just see the fear in her eyes of all these people that she knows and has been working with are all dead, and it's really, really scary to start off with. And then we cut to the earth shaking again, which they don't immediately recognize as Burt, but we know. As they see his truck, also looking heavily disheveled, but Burt is driving all the way down. Burt pulls up, and he has probably one of his best lines in the entire series. It is this line that comes back over and over again. It's like, I think I was denied critical, need to know information.
Nobody knew. Nobody knew.
It was like, I'm sorry, Burt, but we didn't know. Such, again, just looking awful and like had to deal with a terrible ordeal, but still rises above it. And we learned that he has killed all the roommate, because they did a count like there's supposed to be 24 more shriekers out there. And at this point, we're assuming that he killed all of them. He killed literally every single one of them, either running them over, fighting them with machine guns that I think he had, pistols that he had, and then hand-to-hand combat.
Yeah, I love the way he says, I was able to take most out with machine gun fire, but then I had a mixture of small arms fire and hand-to-hand combat.
And he's like, I ran out of all my ammo. That never happens, or something like
Yeah.
that.
Insane.
Never happened to me before.
Out of ammo.
He was at war with these things, dude, because he brought so much ammo with him.
Yes.
Yep.
And still had so many bombs, obviously, still in that,
Sure, yeah.
thing too, which is crazy. But yeah, no, he went to war, which, yes, I would have loved to have seen it, but I do love the reveal of him just coming in, just like, I fought like 20 of them. I think is pretty awesome and pretty badass. And if he got taken out at this point, I would have been so mad. I would have been so fucking mad if this was the point where like eventually he gets taken out. But no, so they drive the truck into the building. Turns out, not only is Earl a badass fighter, he's also a really good capture person, and he captures himself a shrieker wrapped around this really awesome, like fucking some type of rope that looks cool, that can hold up to 1,000 pounds. And yeah, they have their live one, right? So they're gonna do some tests on it. They grab it immediately. It's a fucking awesome pup. Again, I want this fucking puppet so badly. It is so cool. Yeah, I just want that damn thing. And they put it in a cage, and there begin. Oh, before we get there, they take it out and put it in the room. We see this MRE, which was established earlier in the movie. It's just sitting there, resting. It's open, so you can tell that it's food. And you just see a tongue reach up, grab it, pull it down, because one of those sick bastards somehow got stuck at the bottom of the engine, one of the ones that he probably ran over. Totally fucked up, by the way. It looks really fucked up. That will come back in just a second, because now we go back into the room where they've put it in a cage, and they're doing fun little tests here, and I love this part.
The test here is wild, right? Like, surely there was a better way than just sticking up a broom and
he moves like a
moving
person.
it, right?
I love it. I love this scene. And then of course, yeah, they move a broom. They like do a double, like it goes backwards too, which I thought was pretty hilarious. You of course then have them raise their hand, and of course shriekers shrieking, going wild. So that's when they learn that they're basically hunting by body heat this time. It's no longer sound. They cannot see you, only via heat. What I do love, the cool little detail that they are exuding heat. So that way they can connect with other shriekers, so that they can come together, which I really find fascinating, because they're shrieking, but they can't hear it. So the only other way to communicate is through some other means, which what can they see, which is heat. So I found that very fascinating little detail.
It's a small touch, but one that like kind of adds a lot to like I don't know, like the Graboid lore. Like that makes it scarier that they're emitting this kind of heat. And I can only imagine like there must be like some kind of foul odor. And I go back to the smell from Tremors.
Yeah,
Like
I'm
fascinated by the smell.
I was just about to ask, do you think that these shriekers smell worse just in general than the Graboids? Because maybe the Graboid, do the Graboids emit heat? That was never said.
No,
they were all purely on sound, correct?
they're purely on sound.
So if these guys are on heat and they're always like giving off heat, do you think that generally the shrieker smells worse than the Graboid?
I would say it's a high possibility, because if I'm not mistaken, it was the live ones smelled bad, but when they're dead, they smell worse. If I'm not mistaken,
Yeah.
So I can imagine that the little guys, but then there's mass involved, right? These things are smaller, so maybe they don't smell as bad. I don't know. I'm gonna assume they smell pretty bad, but at the same time, they're pretty lean in terms of their design. So I don't know. I'm not sure, but we'll see. We'll see. Maybe there'll be more bad smelling things in the future. Who knows? We'll find out.
Maybe.
We'll find out. They, I think Grady at this point, as they're discussing all this, just throws an MRE inside in the cage. Thing lops it up. Turns out it's hungry, but it's also starting to yak. And they're wondering if there's something wrong with it. And of course, yaks just a fucking disgusting looking thing out of its mouth. And there's of course, here's more of your Jurassic Park references where it like sort of like, you're like, come on. Like it starts bursting out of it and starts coming alive. And there's this little baby shrieker. So yeah, the current life cycle is it turns into this big ass thing, which turns into these little things, and these little things can spew out more of them.
This
Cool.
This is when I was like, this is Gremlins now.
Yes, this is absolutely, as you said, Predator meets Gremlins, which is hilarious. Dude, can you imagine a movie where there were little predators?
I don't know. Stop. Don't ruin Predator for me like this.
They're so
I mean,
close in design.
There was that Alien vs Predator movie where they had the hybrid come out the egg, didn't they?
Yeah.
That was kind of that.
You know, my God, now I want a Predator versus Gremlins movie. That sounds fucking awesome. One day, of course, we learned that these things, they're hermaphrodites. They're hermaphroditic, I'll say, that they can produce without having sex. Which there's funny comments, I think, from or Burt or something like that. Or no, he doesn't really say anything funny. He just sort of like, oh wow, that's crazy.
Whoa, that's crazy.
Whoa, that's crazy.
Classic
Yeah.
Burt.
Classic Burt.
That's
Zingers.
his catchphrase.
Yeah.
It startled me when what's her name again? What's
Kate.
Kate? When she just yells like hermaphrodites. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I was like,
It's
okay.
huh? Okay. All right. Okay. And then it only goes that far. And she's like very excited because, you know, she's a scientific person. She's discovering scientific things. It's really cool for her. She's having a blast. She's right by this very obvious window. And this window just gets shattered in because sure enough, there are now a bunch of shriekers inside of the warehouse because they gotten into Burt's food, which Giddy had, was it 120 pounds of it? Yeah. So there's going to be quite a few of these fuckers.
One Amazon tub of Parmesan MREs worth of food.
That could be, you can get two of those for 180 right now.
Shriekers were eating good for sure with that Parmesan.
Damn
MR.
right. Hope that toilet paper tastes good.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this prompts the cast to run out of the building because they're terrified for their lives. While I love that Burt is holding this giant ass 50 cal like fucking awesome gun that I will not know the thing of it, so don't ask me. They're running. They're trying to figure out like what the fuck, where can they possibly go? I believe it's at this point Grady freaks out and he runs towards what he believes is a building, and Kate is yelling at him, "No, Grady, no, don't go there. I work here. That's not a thing." And of course, they go through the door, and sure enough, the building is not fully built yet. It is totally open on one side.
One wall.
I
couldn't blame them, to be honest. Like, it looks like a building. It looks like it's ready to, like, it's fully built.
It looked like they were trying to build it for this movie, and they were like, "Fuck it, let's just make it a plot point."
Yeah.
Which, of course, this series is nothing but without plans and without ideas. And so I believe it is Earl that comes with the idea with the doors, if I'm not mistaken.
This is the pole vaulting part of the movie.
The pole vaulting part
the
of the
pole
movie.
vaulting equivalent right here. They
Yeah.
straight
This
up
is
solid,
better,
They straight
Mike.
up solid snake this. It's amazing.
I agree. They do solid snake it. So they move the doors and they are sort of like crisscrossing through. It's a really cool scene, in my opinion. They then are getting closer to what they believe is a car that is just about over 100 meters away. But before they get that, there's a shrieker in front of them.
This upcoming scene. It's just.
So they see a shrieker in front of them, and Burt immediately gets into like gun mode. He's like, "How far is it? 100 meters." Okay. And then he's like, "You got one shot." He's like, "Yeah, I got you." And he lines himself up. Go ahead.
Seeing him load that fucking bullet into like the back of the gun, and just while he's saying this is like, this is why I understand why Burt's the fan favorite.
Yeah.
Like, he's a freak, but he's a badass freak.
He's 100% a badass freak. So he lines up the shot, and he's fucking Burt Gummer. He don't miss, and you know he's gonna take this thing out. Little did we know, he wanted obviously something that was with as much penetration as possible, and so he shoots this poor shrieker that gets falls in half. It's pretty violent to what happens to this thing. It's fucking cool. And you see this big gaping hole like in the wall. And again, to go with this movie is better than most standard straight to home videos. They are tracking the shot of the hole in that wall to the hole in this other shed, it looks like, tracking it all the way to sadly, the car was parked right behind that wall. It goes right through the engine and wrecks the car. And Burt's like, I wanted something with maximum penetration because if you remember in the last movie, he couldn't penetrate past the rocks. This was obviously something that should have been easily done in this movie.
That's something I brought it up in the last movie, but it's something that I really like that they do here, where it's like, he's like, I don't have the right kind of ammo for this situation that you put me in.
Oh, yeah.
Like in the last movie, he went off and was like, okay, I don't have anything that can get through the ground, so he went and made bombs. And in this one, he's like, well, I came with all stuff that could get through the ground, and now that's not necessary.
Yes.
Yeah, he keeps on saying about like I was not given the proper intel on the whatever. Yeah, it's great.
It's so good. So fantastic. I feel like somebody should have researched this. Yeah, no, 100%. I love this movie so fucking much. This, of course, they start walking, and then there's an ambush. Some of them are gonna run to the cantina. And Burt, by the way, I love how he's just lollygagging, still sort of just like kind of mad about the situation. He gets the shitty end of the stick in this situation, but Earl and Kate run into the cantina while Grady runs onto the scaffold, like the sort of oil tankers. And Burt just has to drop his gun and jump inside a bulldozer, like arm,
yeah,
whatever this is. You know what I'm talking about. This looks like a weird image. Don't cop that out.
Plow or whatever it is. Yeah.
Bucket, right?
The bucket, but sure, bucket. That makes more sense. Which prompts, of course, the creatures to run and sort of investigate. They are investigating, obviously, where Burt is, and they perfectly stacked two on the sides, one in the front for like the longest time, trying to find them, putting obviously their tongue over the sides. And
disgusting.
I won't lie, even though I knew he wasn't going to be in danger, I was still terrified because the idea of losing Burt is worse than death in a lot of ways. But obviously, he is okay. He loves that he pulls this badass knife that later he uses to like reflect to see what's going on. I love that as well. Again,
see, that scene rocks for me because I feel almost claustrophobic seeing him try to wiggle and reach for his knife while avoiding the like tongues. Yeah, that scene rocks.
No, 100%. Grady being Grady just is on the top of the thing. Of course, the creatures are trying to burst into the cantina where seemingly they would be, the most safe, but they are not in this instance. And so Earl comes up with a plan to heat up some pants that were there and put it on a clothesline, which, very silly approach, but hey, it totally works. They put it on the clothesline, they bring it out. The creatures all run towards it because they see this heat thing. We don't see the aftermath. I'm sure that pants got fucking shredded. But then Earl and Kate run up the, whatever that thing is called again, I forgot what it was, the oil drum.
Like the pipe? Yeah.
Pipes or drums, whatever. But they climb on top of it where Grady is. And we're doing the same thing we do with all these movies. We're waiting a lot. It happens quite a bit in these shows. They're obviously talking about how like the military or whoever's going to have to come back and find them. It's going to take a while. But ultimately, they start having conversations. And then we get a little bit more about the relationship with Kate and Earl. And finally, we get a wonderful, beautiful payoff. Do you want to talk about this real quick? Anybody want to talk about it first?
Dude, first of all, like, they're having like this nice like human moment when they're like hiding from the shriekers down below, and they're like actually having a kind of an adult conversation about like, we're adults, we know what we want, and like we start to thinking about we should date more, and they both agree on this. And then like they start talking about their past, and she starts like, I used to do whatever, I forgot what it was, but then she like drops out of nowhere, I was a play date model. Not play date.
She said she was a model,
Playmate.
And then she said that
Playmate.
was a playmate. Yes, play date. Oh no,
a playmate model. To which Earl like stops and then goes, October 74, and then she does the pose, and I'm like, dude, what is going on? There's like 5 minutes in the movie left. But like, this is amazing. Oh, what an incredible scene.
such a yeah. Watching it this time, I was like, oh, am I gonna feel cringy about this specific scene? And no, I love it. I still love it. I think it builds on their relationship. They are just two adults that know what they want and they want each other. And the fact that he has reverence for her, even before even knowing her, kind of awesome in a lot of ways. And I love that they can relate on that. And it's something in her past that it doesn't sound like it was probably like. Not that it was a bad thing, to be honest, but, sometimes people have regrets doing things in life. This sounds like something that he was totally enjoys about her, and I think that's awesome. I just find that it's something that they find enjoyable about with each other.
Yeah. I also like that, like, it's something that he remarks about it in the beginning. It was like, oh, I hang this up because it's something that I'll never get or whatever like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then at this moment, or like, everything's coming to an end. Obviously, like they're gonna walk away happily ever after. I mean, it's a movie. But like he gets all the things that he wants at the end,
Absolutely.
and you're always like rooting for him because he's like, in my mind, he's my favorite character. Like at least in 2 movies. So I am rooting for him, and I'm happy that he gets everything that he actually wanted, that he actually asked for. So it's great.
I do agree. I think that's pretty awesome. I will say my minor criticism is the shit that he gave Val in the last one about idolizing this woman with pictures, and he literally got the woman in pictures in this movie. I find that pretty hilarious, but still pretty great. This, of course, gets Burt to just say, fuck it. I'm just going to go figure out this wild plan. He's like, come get me, you suckers. And he jumps out of the bucket, runs towards, I believe, to the main factory or whatever it is. All of them are running. Oh, we never talked about the CG. What is y'all thoughts on the CG? How do y'all think about it? Has it aged well? It's a little rough.
Pretty bad.
It's pretty rough.
It's about as what you expect. There's one shot specifically with like the pyramid or whatever.
There's a pyramid. We didn't talk about the pyramid.
That's the worst shot in the movie. It's pretty bad.
Yeah. These things decide to climb on each other, make a pyramid. That prompts Burt to then do the run. It is weird looking, but hey, for the time, cool.
It looks about as like copy pasted as it could be.
Yeah, there was the part like again at night where they would switch between the actual model and then like the CGI, and I don't understand, like they weren't really moving, so I don't understand why they didn't just have the full unless like there's more like you could see the strings or something like that, and so they decided to do that. But
I don't know. But of course, this prompts Burt to run into the factory. You see this stampede of shriekers run behind him. Of course, he does the awesome thing of going out through a door, jumping on the thing and pulling it down, successfully trapping all the shriekers that are inside the building. Everyone's celebrating, having a laugh, just sort of like, you guys are so stupid. Alas, yes. Turns out there's actually food in there, and that was a big mistake. And what are they going to do? What are they going to do, guys? Oh, I got it. Earl's got a goddamn plan. All right. He looks back. He sees this fire hydrant and immediately comes with this total like 3-step plan of like, I'm going to go in there. You're going to freeze me and I'm going to find a bomb. And then, I don't know, I'm going to survive somehow.
I was waiting for something like this because obviously, like, I love Predator. Predator is one of my favorite movies of all time, and how they get away with that is throwing the mud on them.
Yes.
So I'm like, okay, when are they gonna throw the mud on them? When are they gonna do this? I like that they did the thing where they kind of do that, but they did it in their own way, and I was like, oh, that was kind of neat. I like how they did that.
And there's a good art of tension in there too, right? When like it's finally quiet and there's like a whole litany of them everywhere, and you're having to like maneuver through them like kind of quietly, make sure you're not like bumping into them, right? Like it's tense. It's a good moment.
Yeah,
for sure.
Mario, in your notes, do you have how they did the thermal vision effect?
No, go ahead.
Okay, so like they didn't have the budget to do like an effect shot like in Predator of the thermal vision. So what they did was they had the actors dress up in like all red outfits with like a yellow face mask, and then they shot it in high-8 videotape, blew it up to 35 millimeter, and that's how you get the thermal vision.
Oh my god,
it works though.
That was
that's good.
So, that looks great.
It looks good, to be honest, but here's the thing that is wrong about the scene, and this is probably gonna be people talking about it. is that's not how heat vision works, right? The ground, the ground is also hot and is never hot in any of the scenes.
Yeah.
You know, it's all these things that are the only thing that is hot in this are living people, and that is something that they sadly miss out on. Do they correct it later? Yeah, maybe. Let's find out. We'll see about that. But anyways, still love the effect. Still a fucking awesome effect in the movie. Yes, so we're gonna freeze up Earl with this O2 sort of fire hydrant. He's gonna look cool. They're gonna wrap up Grady's thing around his face. He's got Burt's gloves. He's got pieces from everybody, which is really cool. Everyone's got like this thing that he puts on him. He goes through the door. He's walking through. And as he's going through, I love this also attention to detail of these like little pieces falling off of him because it's really amping up the tension of like, oh shit, he's gonna be revealed. Really cool. He gets onto Burt's truck, and one of the shriekers looks and sees the outline that he's starting to heat up. Everyone's screaming like, oh my god, you're melting, you're melting. They come up with this genius plan while he's still in the truck to run up top, grab the hose. Right, and Grady's like karate chopping the window to like pump it up. Try to put the hose, and so they're gonna have him climb up. The hose is not too long, so Burt has to, with that badass knife, has to cut off the thing. Goes up. Earl knows the gig is up. He's looking around. He finds this detonator thing. He types in a bunch of random numbers, which I think he typed in like 2 minutes and 48 seconds or something like that.
Yeah.
He grabs a light post and tries to Indiana Jones his way to the window. Totally eats shit and hits the ground, which I think is another one of those fun, like trying to do something cool and something bad happens to you. It happens to Val when he tries to like jump off the building and land on his ass.
To me, it reminded me of, I forget her name from the first movie, when she like tries to jump on top of the shelves at the store and like falls out
Rhonda.
the window.
Yeah. Very similar, but immediately just eats shit. He of course gets the rope ladder. Not rope ladder. Fucking hose ladder. Fuck it, whatever. Hose rope. It's like he starts climbing. I love the idea of Kate wrapping the thing around her as sort of like tension hold.
Yes.
I thought that was cool. And then they're like, I set a bomb. So everyone just fucking books it. And Fred Ward like looking like he's gonna trip off this building as he's climbing over, which is really crazy. He tells this is the best part. He tells Burt, I put a bomb and I threw it in your truck. You did what? It's gonna be big. It's gonna be real big. And they stop like 50 feet, and it's like, no, further back. We got to go way further back. And they make it to this.
Thank
sort of
God
like,
they did.
Oh God, yeah. The final explosion's fucking insane. But they find this divot in the road, and everyone's like kind of hunkered down to it. Burt says it's okay. Grady is still up here, like being Grady, doing his thing. He's like, get your ass down here. And sure enough, the movie ends with a giant, massive explosion that was fucking worth it. And Brent, do you know if this was like a real thing they blew up, or if like a miniature or anything? Because it looks incredible.
I didn't see what it is. I would imagine it's not that expensive to just detonate an explosion out in the desert, But the map painting they do afterwards is awesome.
Yes, absolutely. The fucking giant hole in the ground that you do see. It isn't a Tremor movie without massive fallout of Tetris falling on them, which is hilarious. So you see like parts of the building. Grady falls over. It looks like he gets trampled by the building that he was right next to. Really awesome fall, to be honest, when the way he did the jump. Of course, you see half a shriekers being flown around as well. Really cool. Everyone's fine. Everyone gets up. They all have this sort of get together and are happy. They think about everything that they just killed and the fact of all the money that they just accumulated, which is incredible. And then this brings up them joking about bringing back Monster World because Ortega owes him a bunch of money. And he says, Earl, think of this as your third best chance. And that's the end.
And then credits.
And then just credits.
Yep, just ends.
Yeah.
It's got no more plot points to wrap up. It's over, man.
It's like, yeah. It's like, oh, other than, of course, I guess there's a little scene where Kate and Burt Earl are clearly gonna smash after this. Just 100%. Just gonna
Wouldn't you if you were them?
go to town on each other. 100% I would.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? We just survived death and I'm a millionaire? Fuck yeah. I'm fucking for days.
Let's bang.
Let's
Yeah.
go. And a playmate. It's fucking win-win. But yeah, that is the plot to Tremors 2 Aftershocks. Absolutely a fun ass movie as far as I'm concerned, because I love Tremors. I do love this one quite a bit as well. This has a lot of high highs.
Here's the thing. Do I think Tremors 2 is a better movie than Tremors 1? I don't think so. But do I have more fun watching Tremors 2? I think I do. I think I have a lot more fun watching Tremors 2. And like talking about it and like thinking about it, like I think I enjoy it more. I don't know. It's very hard for me to satisfy the two. Yeah.
Well, we're gonna go move into it because that's what we're gonna do now. Unless we have any other podcast on a podcast, but we should probably talk about like the best Gummer looks. He looks pretty good in this movie. But I still think I like Tremors 1 Gummer specifically. But let's go ahead and let's rank the Tremor films. Of course, number 1 right now, Tremors. Where do you believe Tremors 2 Aftershocks fits on this list? I'm actually gonna go with Mike first. I want to hear his thoughts.
This one's actually like kind of hard because I'm kind of with that sentiment we just said. Like Tremors 2 is like a way more enjoyable movie. Like it is a way more watchable movie in terms of like just like having fun and just sitting down. Like, oh, I could just throw this on and it's fun to watch.
Yeah.
Tremors is a better movie though. So
Yeah.
I think I have to go Tremors 1 is better than Tremors 2. But again, like I said, with the whole ranking of the Graboids or whatever, strong number 2. Very strong. It's almost a tie for me, to be honest.
Brandon, what are your thoughts?
I mean, like, it feels obvious to me that Tremors goes above this one, but just like going through plot point to plot point, this podcast felt better going like through the whole plot, where it was like moment to moment. It was like, oh, that was really enjoyable. Oh, that was really enjoyable. Oh, that was really fun. I mean, this episode of the podcast is, I think, significantly longer than the actual movie now, and we haven't been ripping the movie at all. We've just been enjoying it. I think it has to go at number 2, but yeah, it's a strong contender. It's not like that much.
I think if it finished a little bit better, I think it could have been maybe just because it just ends like we were
It's
saying.
very
like,
rushed. Yeah, it's very
like,
rushed.
oh,
Yeah.
like I mean, they're definitely not all dead. Like that's just how. I mean, I don't know.
There's also there's less stakes to this movie than the other one. We got to know the characters more. The characters had ambitions outside of just surviving the Tremors in the first film, right? Like they wanted to go off.
Yeah.
They were trying to have better lives. They had
Yeah.
things going on. This one is just come down here and fucking kill some Tremors, man.
Yeah.
You know.
Very true. Cristian, what are your final thoughts, and where do you think it ranks? Obviously.
Yeah, I mean, the exact same. Like, there's a small part of me that wants to rank Tremors 2 over 1, but like at the end of the day, I just think Tremors 1 is probably it's just a better movie overall. There's a lot more that I can like actually praise in Tremors 1, whereas Tremors 2 is just like fun.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'd praise it higher than Tremors 1. I still really enjoy both, but at the end of the day, I think Tremors 1 and then Tremors 2.
Yeah, 100%. I would say Tremors 1 to me is the Jaws of Tremors films, while Tremors 2 Aftershocks is like the new batch from Gremlins, where I really love new batch. Don't get me wrong. I think it's really fantastic. But in a lot of ways, I think the first one is pretty great as well. God.
This is definitely maybe one of the better straight to DVD movies I've ever seen, though.
I agree. That is actually I've seen the straight to DVD movies that I've seen, right? I've seen a few of the Scorpion King sequels. I have seen
There's more?
There's
Yeah.
Oh, there's like
more.
5,
Dude,
man.
Wait till Scorpion King in review. Let's
Oh,
go.
no.
Please.
Wait, can we do dude, if we did Mummy, that'd be amazing. I love the Mummy.
Oh my god, Mummy in review.
Mummy's good.
I love
fucking Pitch Black in review. I would love to do all those movies.
I fucking love Pitch Black, man.
Dude,
I love that movie.
Riddick in review.
Riddick in
Ooh.
review, or
Very good.
this would be great. Starship Troopers in review.
Oh,
Hell
I don't know why I'm
yeah.
saying this, because if this show actually goes big and then we totally get the blessing, it's kind of funny to do it, I'll fucking do it. But no, this has to get at least 100,000 views if you want us to do any of those. Any of those. It only takes so little for us to do the rest of the Tremors films, but it will take us a lot to continue on doing any of those other projects. But you know what? Just because the vote is pretty much secure at this point, with the three of you saying that Tremors 1 is going to be number 1, I'm going to go ahead and say Tremors 2 Aftershocks is number 1 in my book, and I'm totally okay with saying that. With that, of course, that means that Tremors 1 is number 1, Tremors 2 Aftershocks is 2. So
It's
hard.
close though, right?
so close.
It's close.
It's really close. It's super close.
I feel like if this movie had the budget that it should have had,
Yes.
it honestly might have been
Yes.
number 1.
Yeah.
Oh, man. No, 100%. And man, to see what those shriekers could possibly have been and done with that would have been pretty awesome. But I love my little straight to home DVD universe. Not gonna lie, it's still one of the things that I hold near in my heart. We didn't mention this, by the way. The second one was going to take place in Australia, which this one, of course, they switched it to Mexico, except it was filmed in Valencia, California. So
Hey,
keep that in mind. But yeah, straight to DVD. But you know what? This is has been a fantastic experience, and I thank you all for joining me to continue the Tremorverse. So again, thank you. Mike, where can people find you around the net?
You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, whatever social media platforms at the Michael J. Ruiz. You could also check out another podcast, a couple more podcasts I'm on. Bantam Banter is the other one. You could go to bantambanter.com. You could check out that stuff. Very fun with Ricky Freck. We do some really dumb like Survivor stuff. That's really fun.
That's awesome.
It's definitely been really fun to do. And then yeah, we brought back Model Citizens. And yeah, go check that out too on podcast streaming services.
Yeah, we should hopefully be recording episode 2 soon.
I hope
Ish.
so. Yeah.
We just got to get all those beautiful voices together.
Yep.
So very excited about that. Brandon, where can people find you on the net?
You can find me on all the social media services at Jose Ruckus. You can watch me doing Twitch stuff at twitch.tv/Jose Ruckus, streaming there a few times a week. And then I occasionally do another podcast called HBO Max with my friend McKenna, where we review movies from the HBO Max service. That's HBO MAKS. It's a really fun podcast. We got some really great guests on there.
Fantastic. I, of course, have a video that I just received from McKenna, who is doing work over at Tech Raptor with me. And she did Tunic, and
I'm excited to see this one.
did a really great job. So I'm very excited for people to see that. It's going to be coming out. It'll be out by this time, but yeah, check it out. It's really great. But also, where can people find you, Cristian?
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at IsoChristian to keep up with all the things I do, like the movie podcast I do bi-weekly at Large Popcorn, the weekly gaming show I do every Wednesday at Podcast PXN, all the video essays I do for the Penultimate Conquest, and then most recently, some of the video stuff I've been doing for Tech Raptor. Inshallah, more soon there.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And of course, you could find me at that. Oh shit! I almost said that Mar Rivera. You can't find me there. Oh, you can find me on YouTube at that Mar Rivera. Also Venmo at that Mar Rivera. But you can find me primarily at Point in Progress, where I have a few shows there. Of course, Model Citizens is part of that. I also do MCU University, where I have a show with my co-host Sly talking about the Marvel Universe before it's now possibly being integrated into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So that's kind of cool. We'll see how that works. And then, of course, other things that I'll be doing, the watch party, if it probably have happened by now. Wasn't it awesome? Very cool. Very cool that happened. And yeah, very excited to continue talking Tremors with the Grab Boys, which we've secretly been calling ourselves in Discord. So fantastic. But until next time, grab on, grab off, shriek.
No.
Grab on, grab off.
Hashtag.
Hashtag grab on. That'll be probably
Hashtag grab on. Hashtag grab off.
when the tweet eventually goes off. They're gonna have that like, what the fuck?
Oh, yeah, right.